and secretly added an unknown liquid to the girl's glass. The men then coaxed the girl to drink it. The unsuspecting girl drank it down straight away. Soon she felt dizzy and lightheaded. At first she thought she was just drunk, but just as she got up to leave, the boy rushed to stop her. He then pushes her into the room and assaults her. It was not until the evening that the girl was able to escape. When she got home, she collapsed in pain. The grandfather heard the noise and rushed to the house. He kept asking the girl what was wrong, but the girl wouldn't talk. When the old man saw the bruises on her legs, the grandfather understood everything at once. He kept leading the girl to tell him the truth. The girl was willing to tell him everything. When the grandfather heard this, he was furious. First he took his granddaughter to her room. Then he called the police. The police soon found them. The police didn't hesitate to bang down the door with their weapons. They had the three scum pissed straight away. The police soon recovered the bloody sheets from the room. After a friendly exchange of words, the three scumbags finally had to confess their guilt. But just as they were about to return to the station, the chief of police arrived with his men. His son was one of the three scum. Without flinching, the captain went forward to argue with the commissioner, but the commissioner cited violence as a reason for enforcing the law. He forced the case to be reinvestigated. The girl was then called to the police station for questioning. She thought the three men had been brought to justice, but the police said there was not enough evidence to make a case, and they wanted the girl to settle the case privately. In the end, in order to spare her grandfather the embarrassment, she agreed to the mediation to save her grandfather's life. But when the girl returned home, she was even worse. The grandfather looked at his aggrieved granddaughter. He was furious with himself, but the three thugs were still unrepentant. They even blocked the door and shouted at the old man.
Чё ты уставился, старичела? Запоминай.
Then the old man just turned his head in silence, but his eyes were filled with murderous intent. And seeks justice for his granddaughter. He took all his medals and went to the attorney general, but he was told to go back with a scornful smile, because he had already received a favor from the chief. The old man was already ignored. The old man cursed at the corrupt physique, and then slammed the door in anger. He walked on with a strong anger in his heart, mentally deciding that he wanted to settle things his own way. Then he mortgaged his house in the countryside for $10,000, but when he got home, his granddaughter hugged him. It turned out that the director wanted to settle the matter with money. The grandfather was instantly furious, so he went to the chief's house in anger. Then he threw the money at him with all his might. By the time the grandfather and grandson were eating, the girl told him again that his sister-in-law had come over. The sister-in-law wanted to ask the grandfather to help feed the birds at her house sometime. When the grandfather heard that, he thought of something. Then he ran upstairs in a hurry. He glanced through the window, right in front of the home of those three scum. The old man came up with a plan at once. Then he changed his clothes and went to the black market. He found a stall selling air guns. He asked the man where he could buy a real gun. With a sarcastic look on his face, he asked what he was buying a gun for. But the old man said he was just teaching a few scum a lesson. They then took the old man to the car, and blindfolded him with a cloth. When the old man arrived at the real weapons store, he picked out a large caliber sniper rifle. He fired several shots and hit them all. Even the owner was impressed. The old man sneaks back home at night, but found his daughter at home too. But she didn't come back to comfort the girl. Instead, she heard that the old man had sold his house in the countryside. She wanted to take the opportunity to ask him for some money. The old man was so angry that he threw her out of the house. By the time the next day came, the old man used the pretext of watching a game of chess, then kept watching the scum's movements. When the three men returned in their car, he took advantage of the lack of attention from those around. He first hung the milk in his hand on a tree. Then he ran all the way to his little girl's house. Finally, he took out the big caliber sniper rifle. And then he took out that big caliber sniper rifle and aimed it at the scum through an 8-power scope. The veteran raises his gun and aims at the scum across the street, then decisively pulled the trigger. The boy's crotch was instantly splattered with blood. He was left an incomplete man, and after all this the veteran quickly tidied up the scene of the crime. Finally, he whistled and left the place, and when he came back downstairs again, it was as if he had never left, calmly waiting until the boy was taken to the ambulance. The old man stood behind the crowd watching everything. By the next day, the old man was doing the same thing again. He aimed at the other scum in the car. Finally, he aimed his gun at the car's fuel tank. With a violent explosion, the car was instantly in flames, although the scumbag was lucky to get out of the car, but the extensive burns on his body left him an incomplete man. Now there is only one last scumbag left, the son of the police chief. However, the two accidents in a row were both caused by gunshots. The commissioner immediately suspected revenge from the old man, so he warned his son never to go out, otherwise you would be the next target. The boy was instantly scared and trembled. The commissioner then led a search of the old man's house, but after searching through the cupboards, he found no clues. Just as they were about to leave, the girl's sister-in-law came to get her keys, seeing that there was no way to hide it any longer. The old man just followed the police to the top floor. The commissioner saw that the window was a good place to snipe. Then there was an exhaustive search. Finally, a suspicious package was found in the cupboard. But when he opened it, it was a roll of white paper. Although there was no conclusive evidence, but the chief still thinks the killer is the old man. But the old man said it was too late. When the director heard this, he thought his son had been killed. He returned to his home in a panic. But then the door was locked securely. So he pulled out his gun and prepared to open the door violently. But then a bullet was fired from inside. The son inside had been stunned. He thought someone had come to seek revenge on him, but he had killed his own father. In the end, the old man got his revenge. But what he didn't understand was how the gun he had hidden in his young daughter's house had disappeared. A few days later, a neighbor, a policeman, called on the old man. As soon as the old man entered his neighbor's yard, he recognized his gun right away. It turned out that before the chief went to search the old man's house, the neighbor had gone to his house in advance to look for clues. When he learned that the set of keys was for the top floor, he had taken the gun away in advance, because he sympathized with the old man's granddaughter's plight. He didn't expose the old man's plan, he just confiscated the gun, which represented justice. In the end, the girl was willing to let go, and started a new and better life.